Hello and welcome to another episode of Connecting with Kinetic. I'm your host, Jake, and this is the wonderful show where we talk with some of the builders we have here on the Flare Network. Today, I'll be talking with one such builder, the Josh Hardy, co-founder of Rainlang. How are you today, Josh?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I am terrible. It's the number has not gone up.
Right.
My investments, I have not become a millionaire overnight from buying $5 of anything, which that was not what I was promised when I joined. That was not what people said was going to happen with my investment. So I'm very upset. I'm very upset with that. To start us off, a lot of people, this is the first time they're going to even hear about Rainlang.
Sure.
I'm hoping that throughout this interview, I am able to say Rainlang properly and not say something weird. So why don't you tell me a little bit about Rainlang as a language and also how you came to co-found it as a company?
Sure. So Rainlang is a smart contract language, and you're saying it perfectly. It's a language that's interpreted on chain. So what that means is that it's actually, we have the EVM, which is the virtual machine that runs EVM opcodes, and typically you would program those with Solidity. So in this case, you're writing Rainlang, except the VM is actually a smart contract. So it's like a VM inside a VM. And the reason we did it is because each of the opcodes in a Rain interpreter are totally customizable, permissionlessly extensible, and they represent higher order things. So you can, with a lot less words, program things that would take 10 times as much Solidity. And so that makes Rainlang easier to write and, more importantly, easier to read. So it's far easier to read the code. So we're targeting an Excel level of literacy. So if you can read and write spreadsheet formulas, then we think you can learn to read and write Rainlang.
Well, that's good. If you can do that, I'm sure many people can.
Yeah.
Obviously, I can too.
We're not saying everybody in the world. We're not saying everyone, but there's a lot of people out there that can. Excel is a pretty massive. It's got a pretty massive user base, and it's got a long history of non-coders effectively coding, because the bar is much lower. And so that's our goal. It's not to make it so that every single person is going to be able to use it, but we're going to lower the bar a lot and give people more power.
No, of course. And anyone whose main initiative is lowering the bar, I support. As someone on a lower rung, if you can get that bar lower, I'm all for it. With dating, with
as long as
jobs.
It's not limbo. If it's limbo, then you have a problem. Then it's the reverse. So it's like
right. So for our limbo fans out there, Rainlang, not for you. Stay out. We don't want you.
Unless you're competitive, in which case it's the extra challenge.
Yeah. Unless you like the challenge.
Yeah. Which I assume most limbo fans do.
Have you ever seen videos of people going where they just have their legs like tucked underneath themselves, and they're just kind of scooting like a crab?
I saw a video the other day of a little girl breaking the record, and she's basically lying on the ground but not actually touching the ground. It's pretty amazing.
It is amazing, but it's also how did we get to this point? Because if everyone does that technique, at a certain point, it's just going to be who's the smallest person? Who has less body to scooch?
Yeah, but that's the same. I guess it's the same for basketball.
Right. Well, it's not all height, but you make a good point. Certainly sumo wrestling, I believe weight and size is a differentiator.
But it wasn't always. If you look at pictures of old sumo wrestlers, they weren't nearly as big. That was something that people developed as a strategy.
Yeah, and probably they leaned into as a cultural thing. Also, maybe they didn't have as much completely just calorie-filled garbage to eat. There was probably less options.
Maybe, yeah.
I mean, you can just like drink a whole 2 liter of Mountain Dew. You can do that in like 30 minutes or less, and you are just loaded up.
Is that good sumo weight though, or do you need like, is it a different kind of thing?
That's a good question. That's a good question. We'll have to bring a sumo wrestler on here. We'll bring you back too, and we'll interview him.
Yeah, I like it. Well, I don't know how we're going to do this. Oh, we're lowering the bar. Yeah, so we're lowering the bar with Rainlang.
Nice.
Yeah, and then we've created and launched on Flare Raindex. So Raindex is a decentralized exchange where it's an on-chain order book, but all of the orders are algorithms written in Rainlang. So rather than just making a single trade, instead you're expressing a strategy. So the constraints for which you're happy for trades to take place over time. So you can do stuff like DCAs, or you can do auction orders, or you can do stop loss, or even crazier quant type strategies if someone's interested in doing that. You can do on-chain market making, and you can do really complex strategies for market making. So a lot of projects are using it to do that, because they don't have to they can do on-chain market making and keep everything self-custodial.
So when it comes to Raindex, do you have kind of different priorities or a different role when it comes to working on Rainlang in general?
Yeah, so Rainlang in general, our goal is to create the native language of DeFi, create a language that people can use to express things in DeFi. And then Raindex is kind of like in our opinion, the first kind of killer app for Rainlang. But you could use Rainlang for other things. So basically, as we're building out Raindex, we're trying to make Rainlang as well supported as we can, with the view that eventually Rainlang could be used for other things. And it's all open source, so anyone could come along and decide to build a product and allow users to express certain rules or whatever they want within that product in Rainlang. So you could have a lending protocol where people could express the rules and constraints for lending in Rainlang.
All right, team, we're redoing it. Start from scratch, baby. Nobody would be mad about that. So when it comes to, I mean, this is kind of a side question, but I've been noticing more and more closed source projects popping up in Web3, blockchain, etc. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that there's ever really a good reason for software, be it a DEX, lending protocol, whatever, to be completely to be closed source rather than open source, or should it always be open source?
We're pretty committed to open source, free and open source. Everything we're doing is open source, and that's the same for the front end and everything. I think if you're asking people to use it and put their money into it, that it should be open source. People should be able to verify if they want. They should be able to look at the code, or have someone else look at the code before they put their money into it.
Why do you think somebody working in our industry would want it to be closed source?
Probably because they see, I would suggest, they probably see it as adversarial, and they need to keep things secret.
Do you think that's conducive to this is a leading question. This is a leading question. I was going to ask, do you think that's conducive to a healthy developer ecosystem? But,
well, I mean, obviously I don't think that, because we use so many open source tools. Like, we're using tons of stuff. Everything, the whole stack is open source that we're using. So we wouldn't be able to build what we're building if the people before us hadn't chosen to make their work open source.
Right. There's not a closed source project on a planet that is not using something that's open source.
Yeah.
It's a good point. I feel like I was pushing you in an area that's not great as an interviewer to do, unless you work for politics. So I heard that regarding Raindex, you guys have a competition that will be starting soon. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Yeah,
so it's going to open in a few days, actually, next Tuesday, and it's going to run for 3 weeks. And it is a competition to write and deploy the best Rainlang trading strategies on Flare. So you can, if you're interested in that area, you can come into our Telegram, We're here to like help on board and teach you the language and help you write your first strategies. And yeah, and you can, there's $12,000 worth of Flair available in prizes. So
$12,000.
$12,000 of prizes. So that's split across four prizes. So yeah, if you're interested in that area, then definitely compete. I would suggest everyone compete.
I mean, if it's spread across 4, I mean, if you win one of those things, you're guaranteed. Let's see. 12 divided by 4. Might need to give me a minute here. That would be, let's see.
Yeah, I will give you the prizes. The first prize is $5,000.
Oh,
the second prize is $2,000. Then there's a special prize for the best use of the FTSOs. So we made available in Rainlang the FTSOs. So if you want to reference a price feed in your strategy, you can. So if you look on our docs, you can see a bunch of examples where I'm doing exactly that. So for example, for the stop limit order, I'm watching the FTSO, and when the FTSO reaches below a certain threshold, I'm triggering a sell at the limit price. And yeah, so if you use the FTSOs in your strategy, there's a special prize just for you. And then the fourth prize is best technical writing. So we're also doing this in partnership with Rare Skills, who are a Web3 education project. And for that prize, if you write a strategy and then write about it and publish that, then if your explanation is good and you write really well about it, you'd be eligible for that prize.
And how much is that prize?
$2.5.
Ooh,
yeah.
Come on. Everybody should participate. Maybe not me, but other people that have those skills that would be relevant should definitely participate.
Yeah. I think there's probably a lot of people out there that would be keen. And I would, even if you're not a math genius, I would definitely still compete, because I still think you're in with a good chance, because it's not the most complex strategy. What we're actually looking for is simplicity, elegance, and well-suitedness to market conditions. So yeah, if you're a keen strategist in the way that you trade, then get involved.
Or maybe nobody gets involved and you just draw a picture of a cat and you're the only one and you win.
That could also 100% happen.
So get those cat pictures ready, folks. There's money on the line here. No, that's great. Let's talk about the future. Do you guys have any kind of, not just aspirational goals, but stuff that's coming soon? People love dates, because if you miss the date, they get to attack you. So do you have any upcoming dates to share for?
We have no dates to share right now, apart from this competition. But we are working on some exciting stuff. And we're going to announce that very soon.
So you can't attack him yet, guys. Wait for the date, and then if he's slightly later, you can attack him, as is tradition. So you mentioned Telegram. Are there other ways or a best way that people can learn more about your project and connect with you and the team?
Telegram is definitely the best place. If you come in, there'll always be someone online, more or less. We love meeting people and we love helping people. So yeah, there's no stupid questions. If you literally want help getting set up, I will walk you through it every step of the way. And other than that, if you go to our docs, there's a bunch of information about Rainlang and Raindex, and you can read about the language, you can read some tutorials, and you can, most importantly, watch a bunch of videos of me deploying strategies on Raindex. So they're super easy. I'm just stepping through, all the steps required.
Awesome. So I will make sure to link that stuff so you guys can check it out. Thank you so much, Josh, for coming to this wonderful episode of Connecting with Kinetic. I'll leave it to you if you have any final words.
Not really. Thank you so much.
I'm trying good ways to end, and every single time I fail. So I thought this time I'll just have someone else do it.
Throw it at the other person, yeah.
All right, let's see if I can come up with a good sign off. This has been another episode of Connecting with Kinetic. That's the end.